Welcome to another week of the Gen X guys with
Okay.
JD and Len.
Hello. Hello. Hi. How you doing? So
Great. Thanks for
huffers.
asking.
So huffers. We're going to talk about what we. A lot of times
Now, we were
before
just
we.
talking before the show.
Yeah. Well, a
Uh,
lot of times we were just saying like before we get on to talk. We have a little bit of conversation. We're like, hey, why don't we say this for the show? And then we never fucking do. So I made it a point that I'm going to bring it up
Sometimes it does. 9 times out of 10, though,
sometimes.
you're right. We don't.
Yeah.
We don't.
Because
It's
we
actually
forget.
probability is low that we'll ever
Yeah.
remember to bring it up, even though we're literally just talking about.
So we
But
were talking about. I had to deal with an ant problem, and we're talking about killing things and using getting high off of insecticides and things like that. And JD would say that he went to Best Buy to get canned compressed air, to be able to
yeah,
clean your keyboard or whatever. And they asked him if he was born before 2000. You said? Yeah,
2007. Figure
2007.
18 because it's 2025. So 18
Yeah,
would be 2007 ish. I mean, technically, someone could still be 17
true.
if you're just asking year of birth, but they
Right.
looked at me and they go, "We don't need an ID. You're just over
I would
27."
really hope so. Yeah.
I should have been insulted. What the fuck,
Fuck.
dude?
Did you just
You don't
assume
think
my
I could
age?
look like older, like by a lot?
Did you
It's
assume my age? No.
yeah. You ageism. Is that what's going on here? But yeah, so it's the air compressor, air duster, which is so actually now we were talking about it made me think, was there I mean, back obviously for us, school in the 80s and whatnot,
Hmm.
whiteout was something people would fuck around with, like the smell of
Sniffing glue.
whiteout. Yeah.
I like the whole idea of sniffing glue. Or remember the. I mean, we didn't. I mean, we're talking about getting high. So, yeah, glue
Yeah, none of us
sniffing was
did
the other
that,
one.
but it was just a fun little thing that, oh, sniff this real quick. But that was it. It wasn't like, oh, I got to go buy a bunch of this so I can go get loaded.
It might have got you a little lightheaded, but that was about it,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I never really got into it, but it was just one of those things. Sniffing glue was the only thing I remember in terms of getting high.
Well, I was recently thinking about it too, because when they asked me that, I'm like, is this that stupid shit like Tide Pods that people were doing too? Yeah, I don't know if you remember hearing about that in the
Yeah, yeah,
news.
yeah.
These kids today, man, they go through some stupid fucking trends just because it's done on TikTok and they want to be like them.
Well, no, I remember there was that. Remember that TV show Intervention?
Never saw it.
Never
Intervention?
saw it, but Intervention. It was the one where they go through they would kind of pretend that they're doing a documentary on somebody who's a drug user, or
Hmm.
I think it was all drugs, but they would go through that, and then at the very end of the show, they would do an intervention.
Oh,
And one of
interesting.
them was that I remember. One of them was this girl who literally would go around and I think they call it huffing, but it was essentially it's a propellant in the compressed air that gets you high. And you saw in this apartment that she had just fucking cans of compressed air. And it literally, she was sucking on like a vape pen or something, but literally just like doing that to get high.
Shooting it in her mouth, basically.
Yeah, just breathing it in and again, I guess it's a propellant that gets them high. It's no different than remember nitrous oxide. That's another one. That was one that people used to do was because I remember we worked at an ice cream parlor called Farrell's, and they had the old school whipped cream, not that actually had that you actually had to put the cartridge in and everything like that. But I
Yeah.
remember our friend Alex, who was doing it, she was like, "Hey, you want to try something really quick?" And again, it wasn't like doing it a lot, but it's like, "Hey, try this." And it was like, yeah, literally, you got a little bit of that head rush from the nitrous oxide. So I think it's similar to that. And this is
Those
in
are
the 80s.
druggies.
Yeah,
Goddamn addicts.
I
Oh,
think
yeah.
I do think the difference is back with us, and but I do think it started with Gen X. Is we went from taking or a majority of people, or at least a good portion of the population, took some of these things recreationally to the point where it was like you just got a little bit high and you didn't do it. But I think everybody just started getting worse and worse, or like just got where people just weren't doing it um,
Are you talking with oddball
on
shit?
occasion.
Not
I
like
think
with
with
straight
oddball shit.
weed and general
Yeah,
drugs.
yeah. I
I was
think
gonna say
people
that's
started
just fucking
experimenting.
60s, dude. That is definitely not Gen
No, no, no,
X.
no. Yeah, I meant more like recreationally, like just doing something like, I wonder what this will do. To the point where people started getting to doing it to an extreme. Like it just seems like there was a tipping point sometime in the '80s where drug use was really niche, where some people did it, there
Yeah.
were the hardcore users, but even then, it's like you didn't. I knew, growing up a little bit on the with white trash side, you know,
Wow. You
well, no,
grew up on the white trash side? What are you talking about? Where were you
yes, I
white
did.
trash? Where were you white trash?
Well, I'm not saying me. I'm saying that knowing those people,
So you're
being
talking about the town of Pacifica during the 70s and 80s.
my particular part, yes, was white trash.
I don't think so. I don't think it was that bad.
It wasn't bad, but it was. I think most people probably would call it that. It
Yeah,
had
I
it
mean,
had the
they called
elements.
my area of living more of the ghetto side, which I thought was funny too, which
So
made
did
no
I.
sense, but whatever.
But it's always relative where you live, right?
Yeah,
What you're comparing it to. I mean, we
depends who you're
weren't
talking
like
to. Snobby
right.
people, and that's just how it is.
I guess in the '80s in the Bay Area, it was a little bit. But I'm just saying. I mean, that's when you kind of saw people. It was just funny because like you saw people. I knew a lot of people who did some drugs, like recreationally. But that's I think when
Yeah, of course.
you started seeing a rise in more average people getting into drugs. I think accessibility became more because I think like growing up, like if you're saying like 60s and 70s, I think there was probably just two different types of drugs. You had weed, and then you had like cocaine, and of course there's all the other stuff in between
Well, weed was easier and more affordable to get
and more
access to.
affordable. Yeah, but I think when you started seeing like the idea of crack come in, and then meth, or I remember when it came out because it was called crank, because
Oh,
it was
yeah,
all
yeah,
truck
yeah, that's
drivers.
right.
It was truck drivers who used it. But it was cheaper because it was a way for people to get a serious high,
Right.
and it wasn't nearly as expensive as cocaine. Or I mean, even back in our days, it was like heroin was the one that was like the line that people never crossed. It's like if it seemed like if somebody got into
LSD
heroin,
was another one because
yeah,
you
it
didn't
was
wanna
so
get that shit would trip you bad, like,
yeah,
bad.
and people knew kind of the consequences. I mean, I think the ones that I remember the most people doing was weed and mushrooms. Was really the only ones I remember
Interesting enough,
people
I don't
really.
remember many people doing shrooms, but I mean, I knew of a couple who
Yeah,
tested a few, but weed was the prevalent one. I mean, even much more so, even when I was 13,
yeah,
weed was the big thing, and
well,
specifically when I'd stay up in, more of Northern California area where it's a bit more greener.
no way. A
Yeah, it
little
was
more
a
greener,
little bit
more
greener,
reason one,
more access to grow specifically.
and hide
There
it.
were
Yeah,
there were times I'd be hanging out with family members and their friends, and, we'd
it
go
was
raid
just
someone's
there.
backyard because technically it's illegal to grow it, so they couldn't report it to the cops. What were we gonna say? Someone
Hmm.
broke in and stole my weed patch?
I know.
No, but yeah,
Yeah,
that was different time. But yeah, no, you're right. There are there's different shit that started, and I'd even say like
there's,
cigarette smoking in the '50s took off big with the youth, right?
yeah,
So it's levels up, or the different types of vices. I guess maybe that's the best way of putting it. People's vices, things they need to help them get through a day, whether
yeah,
it's cigarettes, alcohol, or now or weed, or and hard drugs, or now huffing canisters because you want to get that high to get you through a day, whatever it might be.
yeah.
Some crazy shit, dude.
It is. I think you look at the acceptance level of things. Like everybody, it's always like you said. There was alcohol and cigarettes, and then it just seems like you constantly level up. Like people get used to it, and then this next new one comes. I just think what's crazy is just how many people find ways to get high from ordinary everyday things. That's the one
Yeah.
that kind of kills me. Is but also,
Hey, you gotta test it out, dude. Well, it's just like Deadpool Wolverine. Remember the movie Deadpool Wolverine? You've seen it, I'm
yeah,
assuming.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Fucking Wolverine, they're in this the void basically, and he's looking for alcohol. Can't find any.
mm,
So what's he
Jesus, yeah, he's
find?
fiending.
Yeah. So what's he go? He opens up oh my god, what was it? It was like a medicine or something like that that has alcohol content in it, and
Yeah,
just start drinking that straight. And I don't know why I can't remember that, but whatever. The point is,
yeah.
he needed it so badly that he didn't care. As long as there was a taste of alcohol inside of whatever it was, he just drank it. So some people just do anything to get that need, that
Do you
rush.
do you think that there's? What's funny is, I mean, there's been the No on Drugs campaign. It was really hard, really pushed forward in the '80s with
Nancy
Nancy
Reagan.
Reagan, and just say no. What was it? Was it just say no?
Just so you know, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Um,
It's a
and
good
I mean,
effort to trying to get kids to stop doing drugs. It's just kids don't listen.
but I mean, the thing is, everybody, especially now with social media, everybody sees the consequences of doing these drugs. And the one thing is, you always hear people talk about the connection when it comes to mental health issues and drug use, and 100% you see that. But is it a correlation or is it a cause and effect thing? Because growing up, like I said, I unfortunately knew a lot of people who got into it and got into it kind of hard. They all went into it trying to have fun. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm not saying that they didn't have any issues
They didn't expect
behind it.
themselves to be addicted to it per se.
I think that was always the biggest thing. Everybody always felt like I'm under control. Every person that leveled up that I saw ever doing it on any, everybody, it was always the same thing. They did it with like, oh yeah, I want to try this. Oh yeah, that looks like fun. And or I heard a lot of things about this, and they all had the same attitude that they weren't going to get hooked.
Mhm.
And then, of course, they probably do have some mental health issues, but I think the reality is we all do. And then the drugs just make it worse. It just, I mean, because again, you start doing these things where you're fucking with your neurotransmitters so much and your body's chemical makeup that you create a dependency on it. So then that mental health issue comes. You could have been perfectly healthy beforehand, but no matter what, the drugs are just going to completely destroy your mental health.
Right.
So I just wonder, everybody, I just wonder why today people are so willing to go such a harsh route. I mean, I know it's not
It is. It
just.
takes them away from reality for a period of time. That's really what it's all about. I mean, mental health is a component, but that mental health is what drives you to find solace in something else,
Mhm.
right? So whatever can make you forget your depression or your troubles or, whatever it might be, you're going to do it. That's been true probably forever.
Forever.
And but now there's just so many unique ways people pull it off. And, let's be honest, it's not
Yeah.
like today's world is any better. I mean, if you look at it from every generation, I'm sure they have their own world issues at that time
Of
that were a
course.
problem for them. There's always world problems, and some people take it harder than others, and
Yeah.
and so they find ways to can't manage that. I mean,
And I
I
also.
we've gone to doctors before from a depression standpoint and whatnot, and their message is here, take drugs, right? So
Yeah.
it's like if the answer is take drugs, well, why don't I go take some that's for fun instead of worried about taking shit that's just going to
Yeah.
probably malaise me, bring me down, whatever it is. And it really never solves the problem anyway. It's
It
not
doesn't.
addressing the true issue, which that itself I don't think can ever really be overcome. You have to come to some sort of terms and reality
Hmm.
with the way things are, and it's hard. It's hard. It's still hard, even if you know it. It's still hard to do. So yeah, I think a lot of it's just to your point, like mental health
Accessibility.
matters, but I think, and you're right. It's probably this has been going on forever,
Yeah.
dawn of
And,
time, no doubt. So
and the other thing is that when you really think about it, it only takes one time. You can be strong for years. It could just take, like you said, you could be on that borderline. You can just have an event happen. I mean, we've all had these events happen in our life where a parent passes away, or you know, you, like what you're going through right now. Trying to find work, or
yeah,
just
I picked up
I
addictions. I drink coffee all the time now. I don't know why.
which you never used to do.
Never,
Never.
never. I actually
But
thought about that before jumping on here. I'm like, dude,
and
ever since
it
I've
is,
been
you
over
are a drug
50s,
addict now.
I've decided to pick up things I never cared for before. Coffee,
Alcohol.
um,
Well,
cognac
yeah.
specifically.
I mean, of course, you do it in moderation, not like you're feeding
Yeah, yeah.
for
I'm
it.
not
But
getting wasted each night, let alone at all. But
I think that's always the hard part. Like it's like a criminal activity when it comes to drugs. Criminals. It cops can be patient because you can do a crime 10 times and get away with it, but one little mistake on that 11th, and you're caught, and you're busted.
yeah,
And I think it's the same thing with drugs. You can be. It's an accessibility right now that, like you said before, it was you only had access to a small amount of things, or you couldn't afford it. But now, like you said, you could go to you right now could go to Office Depot, buy 20 cans of compressed air, saying it's for your business, and get high.
Yeah, pretty
You know,
much.
because you're just, you're in a bad state for this time, or it could just be whatever it is. You're just having a lot of things at one time. It may not be one small thing. It could be five major things going on.
Well, yeah, and you can actually. It's funny when we did our trip a couple weeks back when we did our cruise. We stopped in. I think it was the Grand Cayman
Hmm.
or one of the two places, probably Cozumel. But either way, we went there and there was like this little, in the port area. There's all these shops and whatnot and all that good stuff, and that's great. And
Yeah.
I think it actually was Cozumel. But anyway, at Cozumel, there's this one like little stand, an enclosed stand, and all I do is just sell drugs. I could buy Vicodin. I can buy pretty much anything I want, free access to, no prescription. Just go buy all that stuff. Like, so you just got to cross the border. Some
Yeah.
places you can get, especially those addicted to pain meds, and you can't get them easily. There are ways to get them still.
I think for me, the
Not that I'm
reason why,
encouraging people, the couple of
no,
people
no,
that listen, I don't want you going down a drug addict way.
no. And I think the hard part is everybody tries to make it black and white. I think that there are people who did use drugs because they didn't have access to good mental health or health care, and they do it. And then there's people who do
Yeah.
recreationally. I think my experience, and I think it's my experience, not my perception, but I think a lot of people who've never dealt with people who've gone through drug addiction from start to end will make assumptions. My perception, a lot of it is based upon who I've seen go through it.
Right.
Um, but of course, there's a lot of different variables, and I think for me, I was scared about like sometimes like I seen how like I would act with alcohol, and I think a lot of those harder drugs just I didn't want to lose control.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
That's
I
basically what
didn't
it comes
want to
down
be.
to for those who stay away. It's more you have more self control, and a lot of
Well, you're
ways.
more afraid. It's that risk reward aversion where I thought the risk was too high. Not so much the reward. The reward
Yeah.
I thought, it could be fun. You could have a good time and everything like that. But like I remember when people were doing ecstasy a lot, and I did try it, and I didn't like. I think a lot of times with some drugs like that, I would fight it.
Hmm.
I wouldn't just relax and enjoy it. And but even with weed, I would actually get panic attacks.
Mm.
I would actually literally get panic attacks, and I think a lot of it has to do with THC just affects me a certain way. But also, I would, just kind of fight against it for some reason. I never did that with alcohol, but yeah, but any other type of drug, I always would like get this panic attack, like and push against
You
it.
feel it's starting to
So,
come on. Now you're worried about all that shit. You're
yeah.
creating that panic attack. Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So I mean,
You're just
yeah,
not going with the flow, bro. You're just you're letting that shit eat at you.
yeah,
But I
oh,
agree with
yeah,
you. In a lot of ways, it's the same thing for me. A lot of reasons why, trying it's one thing, but making it a thing I use all the time is like I just didn't want to because you're right. I didn't want to lose control. I didn't want
yeah,
to not think of, worry about what decisions I might make. So I'd rather just
yeah,
have total control and never worry about losing it, which, again, to your point, it was fun to try, just get a sense of it.
yeah.
I didn't have your reaction, but
Everybody's
yeah, but even, yeah, exactly. And the alcohol thing is like, I hardly drink, but when we go on cruise now, apparently I drink more. And even when we were at Disney World, my brother-in-law and I finished off this rum he bought, this whole bottle of rum. We finished it all off in
nice.
one night. Dude, I was like walking
Just
back to my room.
strong.
We have doors next to each other from a room
Okay, okay.
standpoint at the hotel, so it's not like it was like maybe 15-foot walk. I'm like, holy shit! I know I'm drunk at that point,
Yeah,
and I wake up during the middle of the night to use the bathroom. I'm almost hitting the wall trying to get
you're,
out because
you're
I'm like,
doing the
okay, I've
swiping.
lost balance. Shit, but I'm well aware of it all. So aware, but it's just the body itself reaction to it is where that's why I like. Yeah, that's why I don't do these sort of things.
I just love that how depending upon who does it, the perception of what's bad. Like alcohol has historically been like just one of the most destructive things for mankind. I mean, it's caused more issues over the years than probably any other drug in terms of like health issues, in terms of what it does to families. I mean,
Hmm.
everything. Yet, a sommelier and anybody who sells high-end alcohol is looked upon a certain bright way. But if you sell cocaine or whatever, you're bad. I mean, it's just funny. It's just funny to me how people over the years have picked and choose what is good and what's bad. Like cigars or whatever are looked upon in a certain light where cigarettes aren't. And yeah, cigarettes are probably more destructive, but again, it's not saying that it's just funny how people justify sometimes what is
Oh yeah,
acceptable and what's not based upon. It's no different than a lot of things. It's like I'm again, I'm for it if I like it or I'm okay with it.
right.
People aren't going to say, you know what, for the better good, we should not sell alcohol, but because you like wine or because you like cognac or whatever, you're going to accept it because you like it.
Yeah,
Your
yeah. Well,
personal.
yeah, it's true, but it's true in every aspect of life. So
Mhm.
if you do into on it too much, then you're not going to enjoy yourself.
Yeah,
Don't worry about what others think. Gives a shit if you enjoy yourself. Now, when you cause a problem and impact other people's lives, that's
hundred
where it
percent.
becomes a problem. But if you're day to
Yes.
day and you're fine and it's not impacting anybody's life other than your own, that's your choice. You want to go, go. But you have to think about yourself. It's more about don't impact others.
See, like I'm of the mind that drugs should be legal. I think that there should be consequences if you do certain negative things, like if you drive or you do
Plenty of
something
people drive
while.
impaired high right now.
Right. Well, no, I mean, how many times have you on the street, especially after recreational marijuana became legal in California, on the
Yeah.
street, you'll just smell it, and it's on the highway. You're like, dude, but and that type of thing is where I think that, like you said, the line crosses. I don't care what drugs you take. You could, if you want to take heroin, I think that's your personal choice if you want to destroy your body. I don't think that's the government. I think there should be restrictions on it, like, age restrictions, quality and all that type of thing, like we would any other type of drug.
Yeah, but we know today you can't you don't restrict cigarette smoking. Underage people get it all the time. They get alcohol all the time. So they'll get those
So,
drugs underage. Like the age restriction to me,
totally,
yes, you
oh, yeah,
apply it
no, no,
just to
I
make
totally
yourself
agree.
feel better, but you're lying to yourself if you really think it's going to matter. Like it's
But
not.
but again, if it was illegal, it would be the same thing. It
Yeah.
wouldn't
No,
change
I
anything.
agree.
But I guess I'm just saying that and I don't disagree with you. I'm not saying that there's not going to be things that happen because of it, but I also look at it like making it illegal just it doesn't make it any less impactful. And if anything, it makes it worse in certain ways because then you have. It's funny, like they say that once they stop making something illegal, crime went down. Have you ever like they try to do that correlation thing,
Oh,
right?
you're
And
talking
it's like,
like, yeah, when they got rid of for alcohol became legal again, the mob no
yeah,
longer had total control over it, and so crime went down.
right. And so it's the same thing like with weed. As you made it more legal, it's like you have less revenue incentive for gangs to be able to do weed. I mean, of course, they had other things, but I mean, I also look at, I think I look at it more from the personal thing, where if people want to take it, they should be able to. It should be their personal choice. But again, you
No,
still have
understand
consequences. You still have
understandable, but
consequences for your actions, though.
yeah, but I mean, again, usually the consequences are going to be too late, especially with someone who's high or out drunk. DUIs, right? People who are drunk
Yeah,
who end up running into another car, killed one person in the vehicle. Like at
yeah.
that point, well, what are you going to do? Well, okay, they got caught. Great. Now they're going to go to jail for life, but they already took someone else out. So how is that helpful? Right. So I
So do
mean,
we do we make alcohol illegal again then?
we make everything illegal. Stick everybody in a closet with a feeding tube, and that's it.
But see, I guess
AKA the Matrix.
you just put them into feeding tubes and have
Yeah,
their
we can all be
bodies.
giant batteries,
Hey, it's
power the
clean
world.
energy. Clean
Yeah,
energy.
it is clean energy. You don't have to worry about the planet ever having to struggle again because we'll all just be boxed up batteries.
But see,
That's it.
don't you? I mean, okay, we always talk about like with especially Gen X of we drank water out of a hose. So it might have had lead in it. We stayed out until the lights
Oh, it
came
definitely had
back
lead
on.
in it, but it's
But
control
no, I'm
room.
just saying, there's we just got to filter it in so we build up a slow tolerance to it.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, there
But
is
do you
some
think
truth to
that's
it. Like they always say that sometimes drinking tap water is better than actually drinking bottled water
yeah,
because tap water has some of the nutrients in it where bottled water, you're gonna get plastic. Like, there've been proven
yeah.
scientific studies done now where you're actually swallowing little tidbits of plastic into your system more and more.
But don't you think that's a little bit of a problem today? Is everybody expects the world to be perfect? Like it's that knee
You
jerk
mean,
reaction.
does everybody think that every 10 years, every generation? Yeah.
Well, no, 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 no. I mean, everybody thinks like it's that knee jerk reaction a lot of times when one bad thing happens, then you should ban it. Or there's this
Well, yeah.
reaction where if there's an ounce of risk, we should try to eliminate it somehow. And I think that's one of the things we've gone to such an extreme with some of these things today. On a
Right.
lot of these things is like every time something bad happens, it's we have to ban this or we have to restrict this, and it's like
Well,
and
okay, but to your point, let's clarify, or let me speak to that because
okay,
it's something that happens a lot, and I agree with you 100%. The problem is we ban it because the loud minority, the
vocal
small group of
minority,
people who come out and yell the loudest, everybody overreacts to them. Businesses
mhm,
do it today,
all the time.
governments do it today. It's like at some point you have to take a stand and go, look, I get it. We're a country of 340 million people. 100,000 are upset. Okay. Like it's wrong. Yeah. Can we do something better? Maybe. But we're not going to stop everything and change the whole dynamic of all of it because you 100,000 are upset. And
Hmm.
that's the biggest problem with society today. Everybody wants to please everybody that no one's getting pleased at all. And instead,
hundred
everybody's
percent.
bitter more and more. And so
And
you're
it's
not solving the problem. You're actually making it worse every time you react like this. Because as
and
much
it's
as there's people who are against it and wanting to change me, there are those who are for it. I mean, gun control, all that good stuff aside. But to your point, yeah, like we overreact and we overreact to the small group of people yelling and it
that's
kills me.
but that's I think the biggest part is that we overreact. It's you get emotion into it, and then it's
Yeah, it only
emotion that
takes a
controls
few
it rather
politicians
than
who are emotional with that small group and they'll try and drive it through Congress or
hmm
local Senate, state, whatever it is. And there's no benefit to it. They don't even think about the outcome, the long-term impact. None of that shit's ever done. And that's true today with most stuff. When it comes
yeah.
to technology as well, I've talked about that in the past. There's no
Hmm.
impact understanding what the long term would be. Like electric cars, are they actually better or worse? Long term, they could be worse. We don't know. Um, but the point is, it's like, yeah, you're right. We overreact. It is society across the world. Everybody overreacts. And like, look at China, for instance. China just recently had Putin and the North Korean leader whose name I'm forgetting.
Kim Jong
First,
Un.
yeah, now you got Trump overreacting. But again, let's take it with a grain of salt. It's Trump that they're conspiring against us now. It's like, yeah, no shit, stupid. We're all communist
They've been
countries.
doing
Why
it
would they
forever.
not be conspiring against us? They always have been.
They're literally all dictatorships. I mean, no matter how
Yeah,
you want to spin it, they're not elected freely. If you're the only person on the ballot, or 10 people decide that you're the only one who's going to be voted on, it's a dictatorship. It's
yeah.
it's just a new form of
Careful
a
though.
monarchy.
You're starting to talk about U.S. as well because they only wanted one representative for the Republican Party. They only want one representative for the Democrat Party.
Democrat Party, they both fucking did it. Yeah,
They
I
don't do
mean,
it. They're
there
dictating to
was,
you who your candidate has to be.
and that's the reason why I don't belong to any political party because of. I mean, both of them did it in different ways, but yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, Trump was the only option on the
For the
Republican
Republican
side.
side, yeah.
And it was because of bullying and this whole like if you went even slightly against him, it was like full scorched earth. And the
Yeah.
Democratic Party didn't even hide it. It's like, well, you know what? We're not going to do this. We're not even going to have a challenger to Biden. Oh, he's mentally incompetent. Well, we're just going to slide Kamala in instead.
Right. Right.
So yeah,
Because we don't have
both of
enough
them
time
did
to
it.
make a decision. We don't have enough time to really pick a candidate that people want. We're just going to tell you this is who you want.
It's just funny that both sides talk about democracy yet they don't actually believe in it.
Correct. It's only when it benefits them.
Of course, so it's just a talking point.
Yeah.
They both did it, and it's just laughable.
Yeah. I'm not
But
sure how we got to this from drugs. It's
it
good.
makes sense.
It's,
We go
we
off a
might as well
tangent.
be on drugs the way we're talking about some of this shit right now.
You would think we are. I would think we are.
More geriatric drugs.
There you go.
Mind
I
drugs.
think maybe that's what
Mental
it is.
drugs is what I'm taking. Try and keep my mind sharp. There we go.
Or dementia in with ADHD. Not a
Dementia.
good
Yeah.
mix.
No, definitely not. Loss. All right. You know what? We're halfway in. We need to talk about NFL. Look, today is the start of the season. We already had 2 games, by the way. Both I won my bets on, so that's good for me so far.
Nice.
Starting off well.
Very cool.
I took the Cowboys with the 8, which they ended up covering. Probably could have won that game if CeeDee Lamb didn't suck when it came to crunch time in a game and always drops a fucking pass that hits him square.
Okay, which one
Oh,
are you? Which pass are you talking about? The one that he
not the last
like?
one where he had to
Okay,
dive
okay.
out for it, because that one he could catch, but it was tougher. Like, it hit
That
him in the
was
hands, and I've seen receivers catch that, but that doesn't mean he had, like, that was a harder
no.
catch. So I give him
That
that.
he was fully laid out. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, but it still
Anybody
hit
could.
him in the hands. It still hit
And
him square in the hands,
it didn't
and he
hit
didn't
him
pull it in.
square in the hands.
Yeah,
I'm
it did.
still not saying it
It's
hit him square
square
in
in the
one
hands.
hand and then the other hand. He
Square.
was also fucking look. I
But
hate
that's
that it's
irrelevant.
not.
It's irrelevant. That's not the one I'm complaining about.
I know, but
I'm
I
not going to
just
get
want
into
to say
that
I
one.
hate that I'm defending almost the CD Lamb who's
Calm
a
down.
cowboy.
Calm down.
That
He
one
just hit him
was
square in the hands.
acceptable.
I'm
No,
the fan here.
that
You're
one was
not.
fine.
Calm down. Second of all,
And you're being a bitch.
second of all,
Okay, hey,
but the
yeah,
main
but that
one
one
was
drop.
the one where he hit him perfectly in stride, square in the chest, and he just straight drops it. And that would have easily set them up at least, a chance for an easy touchdown or a field goal if they want to do that and try an onside, whatever.
Right.
But no, that one, and that wasn't the only one. The whole fourth quarter, he was dropping passes.
Yeah.
So it's great when he does it for 3 quarters when it doesn't matter and, the pressure's off. But when it's crunch time comes, and this happened to him in the playoffs too,
hmm
he does this a lot. He tends to just falter. So, but
Okay,
anyway,
let
I
me ask
covered
you this
my,
really quick. Just to, I mean, this is probably a bigger thing I think we talked about before. How much does that diminish a player if they can't measure up to crunch
you
time?
mean their mental state as far as
Yeah.
how they
No. I just mean, how do you rank a
are
player?
value?
Like, okay, because arguably people will say CeeDee Lamb is a top 3 receiver in the league, right? Over the last few
Disagree.
years. And
Sure.
anyway, but I'm just saying, people will say that, right? And they'll bring up all the stats and everything. But things like this or playoff, does that make you not a top 3 if you don't show up when you need to? No matter what your stats are for 90% of the game. If things like this happen with players, whether
Right.
it's in the game time or playoff time, does that mean that you cannot be considered a top 3 player no matter what your stats are to you? Because I think it does. I think you can't be considered a top 3 player if you can't do it when it matters,
Well, I agree. I agree. I mean, are we talking
or even
about
top
from a
5.
season versus playoffs? Or are you just talking
Either.
about in general?
In general, when like this one, he obviously that drop, the one you're talking about, where he was just in stride and his hands were. It's not even like he let it hit his body. He literally did what he was supposed to. He had his hands down in front of him. He wasn't even fully extended. It just he dropped it,
Yeah.
and it was clearly. But I mean, he does that kind of consistently. Does that mean you can't be considered a top receiver in the league or a top player in the league when either you do that during the regular season
I
or playoffs?
agree. I don't think you can be, because when it comes down to it, how do you perform in the crunch?
Yeah,
Right? Like, can you trust that person to be there for you when, the game's on the line, as they like to the term, the game is on the line or it's crunch time. And if they're more notorious for disappearing or not performing, then they shouldn't be. Now, if you want to say top 5 is always stats based driven, then yeah, they'll always be one of the top performers. To me, that's just misleading. It's like a quarterback who has to throw for 450 yards. His team was behind by 20 all the time, so they're just chucking the ball up. Like, it does it
right.
make him a top performer? The answer is no, it doesn't. It just means he had to play from behind, and so they started just throwing the ball a lot, and so his numbers went up. But in reality, he still lost the game. They couldn't do
Yeah.
it when earlier on, and the defense went to prevent because they're up by so much. They don't care. You take the middle of the field all day. Have fun with it.
It's kind of like Mahomes in the Super Bowl, right?
Well, the last one, yeah.
Yeah, the last one, like his stats are irrelevant to me. I mean, if I only take his stats up until the fourth quarter, at the end of the third
Oh,
quarter,
in the
that's
regular and any Super Bowl with him. True.
yeah,
Yes. I mean, if you keep him close, he'll find a way, and that's a top performer right there.
yeah. But this last one, it was
Well, they got
his
out.
fourth
They got
quarter,
out so early. They just took him away, and that's how
right?
you beat that team.
And what his stats were in the fourth quarter, this last one were meaningless. Like the 2 touchdowns is like
Right.
no, they don't count
Yeah.
to
It's
me.
just fluff. It's all
Right.
fluff at that point. Well, it's just
Anyway,
they lost to the Chargers on Friday out there in Brazil.
that was
Covered all
ugly.
that. That one I won straight up. I picked the Chargers just to win, so that was good.
That was ugly. I mean, I think across the board. I mean, I didn't think Mahomes played bad. But I don't think. I think a lot of times, that people say that like, oh, he was the only reason why, or that his whole team let him down. We don't know the full picture, but they did not look good. Even he didn't really look settled. I mean, the whole team looked
Well, think about it. It's really their
bad.
first game playing.
Yeah,
They don't play in the preseason anymore. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to put their starting quarterback in when it's only 3 games now. They no longer care. So their first action is almost primarily going to be that first game, which is why usually the first week or two, the defenses do better than offense because the timing's not there and the mechanics are off.
yeah,
But also, early in the game, one of their young receivers got taken out by Kelsey
yeah.
inadvertently.
Dude, he got
And
floored by Kelsey.
I know. And you can see
That was
Kelsey's
funny.
trying to sidestep to get out of the way and it just couldn't. They somehow crossed paths where they came right at each other.
It's just,
Just
those things
I
are
wanna know
just
who
they
made the
happen.
mistake personally.
Yeah,
But even then, here's one for you. So in those 2 games that happened, obviously before the start of the Cowboy game, or literally just before the Cowboys are about to take their first snap, 'cause kickoff already had happened. You get that guy Carter from the Eagles spit on Dak, and so he gets ejected, right? Immediately ejected.
right.
Alright, so let's skip past everything else leading up, whatever people wanna insinuate one way or the other, I don't give a shit. But let's go to the next game, which is the Charger game. And
Just
Kelsey with this one guy, and he open hand smacks the shit out of his helmet, full on. And they say, you know what?
the
Because
rules
it's
are the
open
rules.
handed. Yeah, I agree. But because it's open handed, he was fine. He didn't need to be ejected. I'm like, so spitting on a guy, although
Is
that's not tolerated
honestly,
at
no, no,
all.
no, no, no. I'm sorry, but spitting on somebody is 1,000 times worse than open hand smacking somebody on a helmet. I'm sorry, but spitting on something is not just a matter of disrespect. It's fucking nasty.
I
It's.
agree with you there. I'm just saying they should
I'm just
both be
saying.
treated the same because
No,
they're both, yeah, they are. They're,
different levels.
if you're
It's different
trying to
levels.
keep consistency of the game, if you're trying to keep professionalism in the game and you're trying to
So
keep this shit from flaring.
then wait. There's two different things. Is it because it's a physical act or because here's the thing. Then if you smack somebody on the arm, is it the same thing? Because you're just saying that
Yeah,
if
I am.
they,
I am. You know what? I'm going to take it to that degree with you right now and say yes. If you come up and just slap him on the ass, good job. You're out of the game. Easy. Done. No,
I think
stupid. Look, I'm talking about the fact that he came up and full on swung him. Now he did it open handed, but
he
it's
didn't full on. I mean, look, you're acting like he
yeah.
fucking
Watch
cranked
the
that.
replay. It's not
I
hard. Just watch the
fucking
replay.
did. It wasn't that
Yeah,
bad.
your memory's poor. So is mine.
Dude,
But it's
it
not the
is, but
point.
no, 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 no. I looked at it. No,
My point
honestly,
is, it's like
I
why are the rules so significantly different?
because they actually have rules and they said that open hand isn't as bad.
Well, no, I
It's
heard
that
that,
simple.
obviously, but I'm just saying, why is it okay to come up and smack the shit out of a guy in the head? Okay, because in quarterbacks,
It
you get
didn't
hit
fucking
up with
hurt.
15.
Well, they
Doesn't
spit
matter,
him.
dude. I don't care if you played football and you feel like it's fine. I'm not asking from your perspective as from a football standpoint.
I
I'm
am. I'm
saying when
saying
you look
I
at it
don't
from
think
a
it's a.
rule standpoint, it's
I
hard
don't.
for you to
I
separate
think
yourself. Separate yourself from
I
the football
look.
guy.
I think even punching him full on the face with your hand closed, I think it's more of a protection for the players to not fucking break their hand. I think the whole idea of somebody getting kicked out of a game because they did one thing like that is stupid. I do.
I
I do
think
think
Deacon
that smacking
Jones's head slap should be brought back in the NFL. Then I think if that's okay, why hold back?
player safety. Look, dude, if you
Fuck
really
player
think that
safety.
hurt,
That's a
you think
bull-faced
that
lie.
that
There is no player safety. Stop.
well, of course they have to have the illusion of it.
There's
I'm
no
just
such thing
saying.
as player
I'm
safety
just
in the
saying
NFL.
that smack that he did to him was fucking nothing. Kelsey did not feel it when it happened or afterwards. So what is the point
What are you talking about?
of kicking
Chelsea
someone?
was like, "What?" No, he heard it.
Yeah. Oh no,
He
yeah,
felt it.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure that was purely because it hurt him so much. So I'm sorry. Look,
So you're
it's an
saying it's
over.
okay to go around slap people across the head with an open hand? You're fine with that. But if you spit on their shoe, toss them.
He would. You spit in
Spit,
somebody's
no,
direction.
you
That's
said
something
spitting
to
in
me.
general was
Yeah,
bad. So
I'm
spit
saying
on
right
their
now.
shoe, toss them.
I'm saying right now. Yeah, spitting is
Okay.
fucking
Good.
worse.
So
I
spitting
will
on their
say that.
shoe, toss them.
I'm
Spitting
not.
on their shoe, toss them.
Dude, that's like
I'm
putting
asking.
your
It's a yes
finger.
or no question.
Yes,
Spitting on the
yes,
shoe.
yes,
Okay.
yes. Because
But
I do
if I
think
want
it's a
someone to
completely
get
different
knocked
thing.
out of the game for slapping a guy on the ass for a good job, which is the same, you're
So
against that.
you also think that Tim Duncan laughing at a ref deserved him to get kicked out of a game.
Was it against the Lakers? Because if it was, then the answer is yes. Totally agree.
You probably actually think that. Well,
It,
the
dep- it
Lakers,
always depends
LeBron.
on who benefits,
You're right.
right?
That is true.
Like if it
I,
benefits
I
my team, fuck, get out of there.
look. I do think like grabbing someone by the face mask or something like that and dragging them around. That's the thing. But the sock on the head, I think it should have been a 15-year penalty. I'm not even against him getting kicked out of the game, but people saying that he should be suspended for multiple games or whatever for it. No,
No, I don't
I
think
think
so.
that's extreme. I think getting kicked out of a game I can accept. I think definitely penalty or whatever, but
Right.
I think there has to be some modicum of context when you look at these things. And
Yeah, I mean, don't get me
it's
wrong.
one,
I'm starting this shit with you, but I don't actually think he should have been tossed out at all. I'm just questioning the NFL and its decision making with a lot of the rules because there are so many rules, and regardless of this particular
yeah.
two incidents, they're so inconsistent and shit. Like this whole you mentioned it, player safety, which is why I laughed. There is no player safety. There's no such thing as player safety.
Oh
They
yeah,
they
yeah.
make it seem like they care, but they don't.
They need that illusion of
If
it. It's only to protect revenue. Like the whole thing of protecting a quarterback isn't about safety for the quarterback.
if
It's
they
because
cared
they
about
know
player
that.
safety, why would they go to 18 games like Goodell wants to?
Hmm.
Now
Oh,
you're
100%.
putting an even greater chance of more injuries happening. You're
Yeah.
already seeing it happen as it is with 17.
Oh
How
yeah.
was 16 you were? Didn't matter.
It's about revenue.
Yeah. So it's not player
It's
safety.
purely about
Let's
revenue.
just yeah. It's a joke. But I will say, those two games worked out well. How was
Well,
your so your
any surprises with the outcomes?
no, actually the Cowboys I thought played better than expected. Running wise, they were doing better. Like the young running back
I
was
agree.
good, but there were some things there. Um,
Philly's defense was,
Defense was
especially the first
fine.
half.
I don't think
They
that what
turned
I
it
learned is
around.
I don't think Philly's offense is as good as they think it is.
I don't think so either. I
I
mean,
don't think
AJ
the
Brown is on the
yeah.
decline. So
I mean, the
you
Cowboys had chances to legitimately take the lead in that game, and they
you
just
know
blew
they
it.
there's just a few times where they really needed a pass rush.
Well, it's not even that. This is the other part with
I just had to say
Schottenheimer.
it.
Brian Schottenheimer. The other thing is
Oh yeah,
we come
offense.
up the final drive and he's just throwing the ball. I'm
Dak
like,
looked really
dude,
good though, because I
Dak
mean
looked
Dak
good,
did
but
look
Dak
good.
wasn't hitting every. Yeah, he did. He looked good, but it's not the point. You're running clock. You want to score with no time left. You want to give a team no time.
Mhm.
If you just throw three passes and you don't get a first down, you've wasted a total of 5 seconds. You say if two of them are incomplete, right? So, I mean, if you run, at least you can run off 30
Yeah,
seconds almost each time. And the fact that he didn't do that surprised me, which I'm a bit concerned about how that'll go. But we'll see. It's first game. It's division rivals. You got to take it
it's
with a
always
grain of
different.
salt.
And
Yeah,
first game of the season.
exactly. And so they went to Philly. They played. They looked good. Didn't look great. Philly looked okay. They looked probably should have been better for who they were supposed to be, but they didn't look. People say, "Oh, well, when Carter comes back, stop. He's not
They
going to make a
lost so
difference."
many pieces on the
Yeah,
defense. I even picked them in one of my fantasy leagues, and but I was hesitant because they lost they were such a young defense. And
yeah. They're not going to be the same as last year. And keep
do
in
you
mind,
think?
it was only that Super Bowl that people keep living up all this belief with their defense because they barely won those games in the playoffs. They didn't dominate easily. They
Well, the
dominated the
defense was still
Chiefs.
top. Yeah,
The defense was top five. Don't get me wrong, but everybody's looking at the Chiefs, the Super Bowl, saying
as
this
being
defense is
indicative. Yeah,
is just crazy good. It's like they were crazy good that game.
yeah.
So let's roll
Okay,
it back a little bit.
to stick with the first game, which was the Eagles Cowboys, right?
Mhm.
Does that really change anything about your perspective for the season for either of those teams?
No, maybe they'll get to 8 wins now for the Cowboys. I still think no. I don't think they'll finish last. I just don't think we'll finish. We'll find ways to lose, which we did that game when we couldn't make catches. So that's my
Yeah,
big concern. So I suspect, like I said, the Cowboys. I figured 7, 8 wins. I'm feeling more confident about 8 now. They'll probably get 8 wins, but they're going to finish like what's that 8, 9,
I agree.
17 games. So they're not going to do much. Philly, I still think Philly will win the division, but they'll probably get to 10 wins. I don't think they'll be that far ahead because they're not as good. So they'll go like 10-7, maybe 11-6. But that was kind of where I thought they'd be. I expect them to come back. Like they're not going to stay that strong.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
so yeah, that's my
It
perspective, and
didn't it didn't
I don't
change
think
too
the
much. Yeah.
Commanders will surprise. I think the Commanders will definitely finish below them. Could they be the same as the Cowboys? Probably around the same record. I wouldn't be surprised. They're gonna have a comeback. They're gonna come back to reality because now they're facing actual playoff teams.
Yeah,
Last year, where they won a lot of, one score games
right.
against teams that were below 500. So
Yeah, I
anyway,
agree. I thought Philly again. Saquon still looked really good. I think they were still able to run, still in pass when they had to. I think Hurts ran around the right amount of time. I think the offense is just like last year. It's not. It does enough as long as the defense doesn't let them
right?
down. I
Yeah.
think the big question mark for them is with how many players they lost on defense. Are they going to be able to at least be good enough to keep them in those games to allow the offense to play their type of offense? They're very specific. They need not everything to work right, but they need both sides of the ball to be in sync for them to win.
Well, you think about
Um,
the second half of the game. It was 21-20 at half. The final
yeah,
score was 24-20. Neither
yeah,
team could score. So the defense get better, the offense get worse. I'd say it was a combo of both. Defense got a
yeah,
little bit stronger, but the offense also got a little bit weaker on their
yeah.
play calling and their execution. So, but what do you think about, so from a Chargers Chiefs standpoint, where do you think the Chargers are going to fit this year?
I they actually looked really good. I mean, overall, they looked better than I expected. Herbert looked like he was making better decisions. I think he did still try to go long a few times,
Right.
but overall they looked pretty solid. I don't think that they're I think that they're definitely a playoff team. Um, but they actually looked a lot better than I expected. I think KC on the other hand, I don't know. I mean, I think it's that whole thing where you have a team coming in with the perfect situation when Mahomes the first 3 years, 4 years in the league with him, where you had the right situation for him. Not to get anything away from him at all, but I think the team, I don't mean Mahomes himself coming down, but I think Kansas City had this right combination of everything back then that just made
Well, yeah,
them
Alex Smith was
unstoppable.
taking them to the playoffs all the time. So it's not like he came into a non-playoff team.
Right.
He was set up to succeed, which is all you can really want from a young quarterback, is give him the opportunity to come into a successful situation and really take their abilities further, which is what he did. But I think to your point with the Chiefs, like I this week, obviously, or well, I guess the last day or so, I've heard on the radio, like, oh, don't worry about the Chiefs. Once they get all their players back, they weren't at full strength and they'll be good. And then, of course, it doesn't really
That's
matter
such
till later in the
lazy.
season.
That's so
I'm like,
lazy reporting.
It is. I'm like, stop. The worst thing that can happen to the Chiefs would be if they go 0-3 to start the season. You can't roll forward from there. Like that's going to be tough.
Look at the Bengals.
Yeah.
I, I,
So
I think I think not having that receiver that allows that Kelsey. He had like one good touchdown where he was wide open, but
mhm,
it's they don't really have a receiver that scares anybody anymore. That Mahomes can just flick it to on one of those improv plays that just lightens up. I mean, we're talking about Tyreek Hill. I mean, and
right.
yeah, they did win a Super Bowl without him, so I'm not saying that he's still not the best quarterback or at least top 2, 3 quarterback in the league. Um,
Well, when it comes to
their
playoff
offense,
time, you'd take Mahomes over fucking Jackson and
Allen,
Allen easily
easily. Oh, without
be-
question.
because he finds ways to win. They find ways to lose.
I think Burrows. I hate to say it, but I think Burrows is getting closer there. If he just had a slightly better defense, because when
I
they
agree.
lost the Super Bowl, you can't say it was on Burrows.
No, he played fucking great.
He played out of his mind, and I think even after that, it's every time that they're losing. I mean, I think like last year he came off the injury and everything like that, so there's certain times where he didn't look good, but I kind of fear, not fear, but I kind of think some things with the Chiefs is that they're in that thing where their defense just isn't good enough.
No, their
Where
defense was even yelling at each other late when Herbert
yep,
got that 17-yard run to basically end the game.
end the game, yeah, and that
And
was
they're yelling because their defensive end, Jones, just cut inside and didn't stay on the outside to keep from running
yep,
out. So it was a wide
and
open
Herbert
lane.
just went. I
And the
think
safety was yelling at him after. It's like, it's funny because he's supposed to be the bedrock of the defense. And he's,
he fucked up.
yeah, well,
Yeah, I also have to wonder, like, when my son and I were watching it, he was like, I think that was, that they were going to run it the whole time, that they never had intention of passing. They went to drop him back. If something was easy for him to complete it to, they would do it. If not, he was just going to run. And then when Jones did that, it just made it, I don't think
yeah.
he even decided to pass. I think right when he saw Jones get to the inside. But yeah, and I think similar to the Bengals, it's the Bengals has the firepower, obviously, on the offensive side to be able to keep him close in games. I
Mhm.
don't think the Chiefs have that anymore. Where they made it easy on the defense before because they were scoring so many points, the defense knew that they had to defend mainly against the pass. They knew what other teams had to do to keep up.
Yeah.
And so I think the Dallas Philly game was, not too surprising. I don't think there's anything that made you go, "Oh, I'm changing my whole thought process." But KC did not look good. And you're right; they could look better, in a few weeks. But I'd also expect a team that with that much experience to not have that first week down as much as they did. I mean, bad teams
Yeah, I
do.
mean, the first week you generally throw away. Well, I wouldn't say throw it away, but when they're close games, especially division rivals, to your point earlier, like,
Mhm.
it's always gonna be a unique battle.
Yeah.
So, like, even today, Browns face the Bengals, that's a division rival. You got the Niners against the Seahawks, division
Hmm.
rivals, right? So some of these division rival games gotta take a little bit differently
Of course.
versus, say, Cardinals Saints, for instance, is another game,
Right.
um, where nobody cares, first off. Nobody's gonna care about that game. But, it's still something where it's more just 2 teams facing, and so we'll see how they perform.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so what's your thoughts on, because I've heard a lot as well as the season's about to start, about are the Packers ready to go now that they got Micah Parsons, who, by the way, may not play because of his back, but that's fine.
Hmm.
This
Which
was my
is
big gripe
normal.
about him all along,
Yeah.
why I
The
didn't
injury.
want them to pay him big money, is that, they're like, "Oh, is it this year?" Well, I don't know. I didn't think the Packers were that great last year. I think they had one good run when they beat the Cowboys that first time with Jordan Love,
Yeah.
which isn't surprising because the Cowboys were just garbage, but they still beat them. Came into Dallas and beat them like 40-10 or some shit like that.
Right.
I can't remember. And then they lost to the Niners. But they keep talking about, oh, the Packers, this could be their year.
No.
Do you see that? Like,
No.
what do you think? Who do you think is going to win that division?
That's a good question. I don't think it's them. I mean, I could see them winning it, but I mean,
Well, who would you think otherwise? If you don't think it's them, then who do you think will win it? Because it is a tough one. You got
it's
Minnesota, but they
Detroit.
got a young quarterback, JJ McCarthy, who didn't play all of last year.
I think it's still Detroit. I mean, you have to. There's no reason not to think it wouldn't be,
The
right?
only reason I'm hesitant about Detroit is because they lost both coordinators. More specifically, their offensive
And
coordinator.
that's fair. But I still think you have to give it to them just
Yeah, no, I
because
agree. I will too by
of
default.
their coach.
Yeah,
But I don't really like. I think the bigger thing is that I don't have faith in the other teams, like you said, like you're saying. I
right.
don't think the Packers are just because of Parsons that they're Super Bowl contenders. I think it just solidified that they're a playoff team.
If he's
You know,
healthy. If he's
if he's
healthy.
oh, of course, yeah. I mean, that's always the biggest question if he's healthy. Um, I don't believe in the Bears. I
The
Williams.
Bears.
I just don't. I just don't think that he is enough. Like that whole thing about the mental fortitude that you need to have in pro sports. I don't think he has it.
Mhm.
Um, and just the team as a whole, I just don't know. Um, and like I said, the Packers. I think they're a solid team, but I just don't think that they're that team. I think they're just a good team.
Yeah.
But not. I don't think. I don't think. I think even if Parsons is healthy, that he doesn't elevate him enough. I mean,
Well, no, because he doesn't hustle on every play. Like
yeah,
like I mentioned, his first season stats were ridiculous.
right.
Over 80 tackles, 15 sacks. He's a monster who's everywhere. Next
You
year,
know who he
okay,
reminds me of?
who?
Sorry, he reminds me of like the OBJ, where
Yeah,
like
more
he's
had
living,
one flash in the pan moment, and somehow he's a stud the whole time.
and right, and he's still a top 10, but he's not that elite. He's not in the like Parsons. He's like in that borderline between being in that elite company and like with the Miles Garrett, T.J. Watt, and so on. And but I don't think that I think that he's always been just outside of it for those reasons. Where if you look
Right.
over the years, he hasn't been. He's living off of that rookie season
Yeah.
where he was phenomenal. But I think that, and not to say that it's, and I think a lot of times people take it as like, oh, he still put up good numbers. Like, okay, but that's not good enough. If you're talking about elite, you're talking about he has to do it every year. And I don't know. I just haven't seen it with him. So I
My
don't
just
think
concern
Parsons
is,
makes it.
yeah, and I also get concerned with his injury issues. That
Yeah,
shit doesn't go away, especially when it's your back. It doesn't get better.
right.
It only gets worse, especially the hits you take, where it's the blocks from behind, getting pushed from behind by a tackle, whatever it is,
Yeah,
stuff like that happens. It's
right.
only going to get worse for him. But yeah, I'm not really sold on the Packers at all. I think every year. I mean, it's understandable. They're trying to find that story that they can sell early on, so people just watch and pay attention. And then as the
Oh, yeah,
season unfolds, the stories will change as
change. Yeah,
expected. Um, but I will say this: I think, to your point, I think for that division, I do see Detroit winning it again. I think
yeah,
Minnesota's going to drop down more than they think, primarily because I don't know if
I
JJ
think so.
McCarthy's actually that good of a quarterback.
Yeah, yeah. We don't know. He's
Um,
essentially, hopefully for them, it's like he sat for a year and he learned and he
but he
gained
was
something out of
injured the
his
whole
every
time,
year.
so he couldn't even do anything during that
Yeah,
time.
I mean, just the mental part,
Yeah, yeah,
understandably,
yeah. How
that
to prep and prepare yourself and all that good
yeah.
stuff. I agree.
So hopefully a little bit he got something out of it, but we'll see.
Yeah, but I don't think Minnesota will be up there. Um, I think Green Bay will finish second to Detroit. They'll
Hmm.
probably get in as a wild card team more than likely.
I agree.
Um, and then
I think
Chicago, I think, will improve. Actually, they won't improve enough to compete for the division, but they will
yeah,
improve because they had some decent games last year and they didn't have a good coach. Ben
right.
Johnson is a much smarter offensive coordinator, and Caleb
You're
Williams, although his numbers weren't bad actually from a
nothing was that
perspective,
bad. No.
he might be able to help give him a little bit more. So I actually picked Chicago to beat Minnesota for Monday night's
Oh
game.
man.
Figured it's at Chicago, first game, JJ McCarthy. Maybe Caleb Williams will be able to
Yeah.
show something. So we'll see. But yeah, I think that's how it's going to win that. And honestly, for the other teams, it's like the Patriots play the Raiders this morning. Who are the Patriots? Are they going to be a good? People were talking up because they got Vrabel, but if people look at Vrabel's record, it really wasn't that good. He had like a year or two where he got into the playoffs, but his final couple seasons were piss poor. So why is he going to be so much better?
To me, in as much as I want to see Detroit do well, I think he's the same type of coach. He's a player coach. To me, he's like Detroit or the Steelers, where they have good enough coaching and they get their team up during the regular season, but you're not going to see them out coach anybody. And I
Yeah,
think that's the separation thing. It's not that they're bad coaches, but they're not going to be the coach that comes in like a Belichick or like or even Harbaugh. I would say can outcoach players,
right.
outcoach teams to an extent. But I think that's the whole difference with somebody like Vrabel is that he's not somebody who's going to outcoach anybody. He's not somebody who's going to come in and scheme to the point and beat a team. For him, he's like I think you see this a lot with defensive coordinators who become head coaches. Is they just believe in straight up football. My players against your players,
Right.
and you don't see them out scheme a lot of times where they're like, "Hey, I know this is how we normally play, but we're going to do this because this will give us a better chance against." That whether it's offense or defense, but
Yeah.
you don't see that type of creativity except like very rarely. Like you see it with a Belichick who's like, I'm going to find a way to win.
Right.
But I think Vrabel, yeah, I agree. I think he's very limited. I think he's going to get them to be respectable, but that's about it.
All right. Let me ask you this because we're almost out of our time here. This morning, your team Browns against Bengals. What's the score going to be?
Oh shit, I don't know.
Come on,
Um,
just off, go. Don't even
I
think
think
too
we have a
hard.
decent defense. I think like 31-27, something like that.
Who you think Browns?
I think the Browns could do it.
Okay.
If not, I can
Is that
see.
your score? 31-27 Browns.
Yes, I'll say that. If
Okay.
not, I see it being like 35-28. 35, like 35-24 Bengals winning. I think if the Browns win, it's going to be a decently like an average scoring game where our defense gets enough stops and it's just one of those ones. Or I think the Bengals by the third quarter have beat us
Got it. All
with
right.
their
Well,
offense.
one
If
more
we if
for you.
we have to be able to move against their. I think the bigger thing is our defense having to do enough to kind of hold them back, and our offense actually playing well.
Yep. Niners, Seattle. What's the score there?
That one I really don't know because nobody played on the Niners in the preseason.
Yeah, CMC is
Um,
going to be playing. He's already been cleared. So
oh yeah,
Niners,
I
Seattle.
I, was, I
Yep.
didn't know. Okay, I didn't know about his ankle. I don't know. I mean,
All right, I'll give you real
yeah,
quick because we're
solid
running out
solid
of time.
comeback.
Let's not
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
about it. I'll just throw out a number to you. I'm going to say it's 24-17 Niners. It's always going to be close.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Solid being back, I think, is going to help the defense.
Yep,
So we'll see.
I agree. Exactly.
I
Well,
can live
awesome.
with that.
Well, let's get started. It's football season in full swing this weekend, and we'll be back next weekend. So I hope everybody enjoyed the conversation today, and we'll chat with you all next week.
See ya.